Thanks for listening. If you like what you hear, support the show by joining the Nerd On Nation powered by Patreon. Go to nerdon.tv/Patreon and get Nerd On exclusives for as little as $1 a month. Nerd On the Podcast is proud to be powered by Focusrite, Embody, creators of Immerse Gaming, Odyssey, Amazon, and TCG Player. Enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Anna Brisbin. I'm the voice of ABBA in Guilty Gear Strive. And you're listening to Nerd On.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need but you deserve, and where all levels of nerd are welcome. I am super excited for today's show because I like bringing my friends on the show, and there are some cool friends in the industry. And so, yeah, I guess the big reveal, Anna.
Yeah.
It's nice to have you on the show.
Hi.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is a comfy couch.
Right? It's almost dangerous.
You got a hard chair.
It's okay. For a hard mentality in my life, I can't relax. That you just sink and we had the Airbnb it out. You just sleep in there.
Yeah, okay.
There used to be a futon in here that was it was an IKEA futon that I had gotten when I first moved to LA.
Yeah, relatable.
Yeah, and it fell apart, and funny enough, well, a friend was sleeping on it, and he was very mad. But we used to have to take it out of this room every single time. This one ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
It's very.
That's your podcast workout. You move all the furniture, you bring it back
Used to
in.
be a rite of passage every weekend. But that is not what we are here to talk about. We are here to talk about. Unless, I mean, is that what we're here for?
Tell us about feng shui. That's all we're talking about.
I know nothing.
So let's. I mean, I know that you said that you wanted to start the show.
So we've had some people. We've had some guests on our show, but I want to know. I want the audience to know how do you guys meet? How did this happen today?
Oh,
Was it Andrea Toyas?
no, I think it was Key. No, actually, yeah, no, Andrea Toyas' class, and then
was that the first one, or we had one before that? Maybe over Zoom. Probably. I think we've been on one before that over Zoom.
But... during the pandemic, there were a lot of like voiceover classes.
I was going to say
it was very easy for. It was very easy for. I mean, a lot of my close friendships started via either Zoom or social media, and Anna and I met over like a Zoom class.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest, I really respect you. Like, I like when I saw you in a class once, I was like, oh. I think you're awesome. I'm a fan and a friend, and I think I like to respect my friends. I think it's really cool to have people that inspire me, that being surrounded by friends that are in the business with me, but are just you're so nice too, and you're good at what you do.
We can bring the tissues.
Yeah, there's a tissue box up there.
You too, man. Gosh.
So really excited to have you on the show.
But then in person for the first time, I think, was Andrea Toyas' voiceover class.
The world is starting to open up, and voiceover classes are starting to be in person, which is really nice.
It's so nice.
I think that's really cool because, Anna, before we talked, we got on the mics, and I asked, like, is it Anna? Is it Brizzy? How do you want to be? And I think there's so many people that know you from one thing or the other.
Yeah.
And, a lot recently, a lot of people have been talking about Guilty Gear Strive, but I think the cool thing we want to have you talk about is kind of like actors are always constantly meeting and constantly growing and, having classes together. What's that like? And you're constantly meeting, new peers and like opening up new opportunities.
I was just always want to be better than I was. Always want to be learning and gathering and meeting new people and getting their insight and ideas and learning about what they're working on and how they work differently from other people. And yeah, I just always want to be better than I was, and I want to be doing more than I ever have before. So classes always seems like the best way to do that.
Because, I think, again, a lot of people online know you for one thing in particular with the impressions, but like you've always kind of had this like taste for the arts, and you've always had like, you studied Tisch, and, like I think a lot of people are like, oh, someone who did online impressions online, then later on became an actor. It's like, no, you've always kind of had this acting knack and all that stuff. And as a kid, you've always, like, as most people say, and even Josh, you've talked about like you parrot the characters a lot of the time. So it's like you're constantly growing and changing and reaching new bounds. And I kind of want to hear what you guys are like what was discussed in the
I didn't
class?
realize that there was going to be questions for me too. So,
Surprise.
no, I like it. It's kind of, I mean, I don't know your experience. I think it's funny that most voice actors that I meet have a theater background.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it just the medium lends itself to having that space. Um,
Yeah, there's a lot of imagination involved.
yeah, exactly. There's a lot of filling in the blanks, whereas like on camera, sometimes no, it's there. Like
Yeah.
the blood, the stuff, whatever it is, it might just actually be
Yeah.
there in the
You
space
just
with
have
you.
to ignore the camera and the people behind it, but
Yeah.
otherwise, like, you're in it.
And then sometimes in a black box theater, you're like, I'm imagining something right here. It looks
Alas, poor
dumb.
Yorick.
Yeah, exactly. It's dumb, but you're just like you're imagining. And then I always remember the advice a friend gave me. It's like if we can't hear it, then it didn't happen. Like in terms of like the action and like
Yeah.
imagining like and so you
Yeah, how do you
hear
voice a raised eyebrows?
yeah,
Steve Bloom
exactly.
says.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of makes me like transfer to like a question like your origin story. Like
I want to know your origin story. When did you become like aware of voiceover as like a possible career? Because I did not until like college, even though I grew up glued to cartoons.
wow. You know, I have the like stereotypical cliche background where as a kid I watched a lot of cartoons. Like Looney Tunes was my jam. Mel Blanc was like my hero. And I would like he was saying I would parrot characters and stuff like that, but it wasn't until like college and one of my acting teachers down in San Diego who became a friend, which I shout out Ryan Drummond. He was the original video game voice for Sonic the Hedgehog, and he did some other stuff in San Diego. And I,
Who likes The Exorcist?
who likes it, we had him on the show, and we talked about The Exorcist. It was a lot of fun. Check out that episode. It kind of started to roll around in my brain of like, wait a minute, this could, but it was still outside the realm of actual possibility. It was like people do that, cool. And then when I got to LA and I started like doing stuff and meeting people that did it, and I was like, oh no, people do this. You could make money doing this. And it's like, and then it wasn't until I took a long break out of acting period. And around 2019, 2020, I was like, you know what? I'm so tired of not doing the thing that I feel like I'm put on this planet to do. And voiceover was always that pipe dream, so to speak, where it's like, that's what I wanted. That's the dream. I've been a gamer since before I can think. I've been listen, you know,
Womb.
in the womb, I was a
Just
gamer.
blood mashing.
I had a Nintendo controller in the womb. No. Yeah. So I mean, what about you?
Yeah. I always knew I wanted to act since like fourth grade, but I wanted to do TV
What was
and
the first
film.
role?
First role
Like in fourth grade?
anything? Oh, I was too shy then. I knew I
Oh,
wanted to
okay.
do it, but I was too
You weren't like
scared to
broccoli
do
number
it.
4 or something like that?
No, my school did have like required musicals and whatever, but I just had like little lines because I was too shy to like actually
Wait a minute, another
try
shy kid
hard.
that turns
Yeah,
theater
I was
kid.
like selectively mute, but
Okay.
okay at school sort of scenarios. It's just like if we went to a restaurant or something, like I could not order, like I could not
Yeah.
speak. But yeah, I knew I wanted to do it, but I was like, it's just so scary. And my school didn't even have a theater program, really. They just forced kids into musicals in like elementary school and middle
Yeah. Do
school.
the thing. Go.
Yeah, go be cute or
Yeah.
whatever. And then high school, I finally like forced myself into community theater, and the first role was as like flower number 2 in Alice in Wonderland. So
Yes.
in ninth grade.
We all got to start somewhere.
Hell yeah.
We all have to
Hell
start
yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Was there a particular cartoon or that like drew your attention that was like, man, I really like want to
You
inhabit
guys
these
are the
characters?
same age, I think.
No, you're a little bit older
32.
Wait. You're
by a
not-
couple like days.
A couple days.
Dude, you don't stop the
That's why I just said-
conversation. Like,
That's why I said a little bit older. Like I
I was
don't,
gonna say,
I don't
'cause
mean
both of you are
hello.
gonna have a lot of the same, probably like background and what you.
I don't
like.
know. It's a,
Astrological placements.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're Virgo.
Yeah.
I'm Libra.
Oh, so many days.
I'm
at least 10 days.
yeah, I guess.
At least a week.
That's what I said. A little bit. Look. Time is relative. You know what I'm saying?
It is a construct.
It is a construct, and we're all just in this different places of our journey. But no, was there a particular cartoon that like drew you into like I want to inhabit these characters, or like the one that was like, that's the one I want to like master the voice of?
Yes and
Okay.
no. Like, I wasn't sitting and watching it being like, "Oh, people are doing this. I wanna do this." Like, I just didn't even, like, occur to me. I was just in college and focusing on wanting to do TV and film, and so I started doing voiceover projects with film students, and the freshmen have to do audio dramas, and one of them was doing a Pokemon-inspired audio drama. It was a
All
little
right, all right.
little audio project, and he asked for auditions for, like, Ash, Pikachu, Officer Jenny, like, whoever. Um, and I auditioned and ended up playing Ash and Officer Jenny, and it was just so fun. And then when I listened back to the final thing, I was like, this kind of sounds like them. That's so cool. And it sounds like Pokemon, but I did it. That's fun. And so
That must be a
it's
fun
really, yeah.
experience. I mean, at least for me too, of like when you do something that's meant to be like either a sound alike or sound close, and you listen back because you're kind of in your own space when you're in the cans and you're just doing the thing, what you think, and then you listen back and you're like, oh damn.
Yeah. I was like, did you pitch me down or was that me? And he's like, no, that's you. I'm like, oh,
I
I
can do
did it.
this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of a mix.
Ah,
Pokemon really is like the beginning of it all in both like the college sense and the YouTube sense, but yeah. So I'd say Pokemon, but it wasn't like I was sitting watching Pokemon and being like,
yeah, but like you also say like, cartoons been your life, but gaming's also been part of your life for a long
"Mhm."
time too, right? Before all the acting and everything like that, like, right?
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Okay.
Technically, I was playing like Nintendo stuff before
He
I
likes to
was
deep
acting.
dive. Well, no, I mean, like, so the
Not hardcore, but you
Yeah.
know.
the show's nerd on, and like I love to like explore the like what you said, I believe before, like your people are kind of like nerdy people, and like
Mhm.
whether they're actors or not, but your people kind of like understand like the lingua franca, the discourse community. So like I just want to know like where was your
Big words.
like $2 words. We called it the tree of nerddom. Like where did it
Yes,
start
the
for you?
Ooh.
You know,
tree of nerddom.
Oh, Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
A
And 4th grade, that's the movie that made me wanna act. I was like, "I wanna be in magic things. I wanna make this crazy, impossible
if you
story
saw my
that was
Wi-Fi,
only in my head before, like, real for people, like, that in front of people." I wanted to do that. So it was that.
if you saw my Wi-Fi, you would know that you're in good company.
Same.
Nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Was there a particular character, or was it just the overall story, or was it? Oh, it was
Hermione.
Hermione.
Yeah.
Okay.
Virgo.
so
Um
she's a Gryffindor. How did you become a
What?
Ravenclaw?
'Cause she
I'm
should
sorry to bring
be.
class into this, but
She should be Ravenclaw.
She probably should be Ravenclaw.
Are you
is she Gryffindor for dramatic
are
purposes
you
so she can be
For
with the
plot?
for the plot?
It kind of feels that way. I know she has a lot of Gryffindor in her, but maybe
We don't pay attention to that.
I don't wanna go on too big of a Harry Potter tangent. Um, but yeah, I think Sorting Hat put her there because 'cause it'd be good for her, and she already had enough Ravenclaw that she
And we
would
need to have a
nurture no
strong
matter what,
female
and
lead character.
and that, yeah. But
because yeah, you're not only about Harry Potter, you're about a lot of magic and sorcery and all that
yeah,
stuff,
it's
right?
expanded, especially the past few years. I'm like, complicated feelings about Harry Potter now. So now I'm just like
Mm.
putting all that magic energy into like real life, like Wiccan magic and
Ooh.
like high fantasy, D&D, and
Hmm.
other worlds of
Yeah,
that.
you're in a couple of campaigns,
Yeah.
right? And you've recently got back into like Game of Thrones and like doing
Yeah.
House of Dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I'm just kind of like, where like, what's the allure for you?
For
Is it?
magic?
Yeah.
That
Get
was
your
just like
nerd
that
on.
answer was like, duh. Why not?
Hey, I like the neon, cyberpunky, bisexual lighting stuff. So, like, I'd want to know what's the magic thing.
Yeah, that tracks.
It's magic. I don't know. It takes impossible and makes it real, I guess.
Okay.
And that's kind of what it was like watching Harry Potter the first time was like taking this impossible thing, like literally this series is full fantasy fiction, like could never exist, but made it real. And that's so
For us
fun.
youngins. And it like I think just like kind of tiger pouncing on that. It's like there is when I think about and we've talked about Harry Potter on the show many times, but it's like it started out especially for that generation, I feel like it was
When
like
we see the castle for the first time.
I hate you so
Sorry, that's a
much.
running joke. But it's like, oh yeah, that's the best part for every movie.
When we see that castle for the first time. No, it starts out as that like just like stereotypical young adult kind of thing, and then you get into like the later books, and you're like, oh damn, there's some deep stuff here. I would relate it to like Korra versus Airbender. Like like people become adults
Mm.
after
It grows up with us.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you start to be like, "Oh, man, there's more things to think about here," and I loved how Harry Potter grew with us.
Exactly. Yeah, we got it at the right time.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Ooh,
and both you and you're talking about how you've been like divulging or investing more of your energy into different magic things, talking about the D&D stuff. You both do D&D campaigns, you both act. Like how has that kind of informed or, influenced any of the decisions you bring into the booth, for anything like that?
mm,
I don't know. That's probably just made me more comfortable with improv in general because improv is terrifying to me.
Mm.
I've taken like the first level of groundlings and the first level of UCB just to like force myself, but like I hate it. It's so
I
scary.
could never. Yeah. You win.
But
I could never.
D&D feels like a way safer like
you
environment
can
for
slowly
me.
work
Yeah,
into it
to
as you
work that
yeah,
muscle.
yeah. I think that I mean, it's kind of I've done a lot of like in college, I was a part of like a troupe, and then I took some classes, but I think I was a shy kid as well, and so my journey into theater was kind of like it broke me open and then changed me, and then later on, I did a lot of improv, and it was for the pure spite of it, to against my fear. Like I have this you joke about it, like, but sometimes I have this way of like waterboarding myself with something so that I get comfortable with it.
Immersion
Uh-huh.
therapy.
Yeah, exactly, and I will do that, and so, improv for me was always that way of doing that,
Yeah.
to just, like, totally punch myself in the face with fear, and that was rough. But now it's like a way to trust the instincts. I think I always tell people improv is so important, not from the comedy or the funny part about it, but it's like being able to trust in the moment you're weird. Like, you're cringe, you're weird, the silly, dumb thing that you wanna say, you're like, "Say it."
Permission to
Just
fail.
say it.
Permission to do the
Permission to
wrong thing.
fail,
Yeah.
permission to just say the weird thing. That's why I think the breakthrough that I had for voiceover specifically was I started, booking when I stopped trying to figure out what they wanted,
Yeah.
and just even, like, in the funny scenes, I was like, "Make myself laugh." If that's really weird, if I happen to say some weird thing, so be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so going back to your question, like, D&D is one of those, like, I don't normally like to be, like, character-wise. Oftentimes, I wanna come to the table. I think having my personality in a fantasy thing is kinda funny to me, but so oftentimes, it's just me and my friend Mike riffing off of each other.
Mm.
So it's a lot of fun. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
You talk about booking, Josh, and then this kind of both goes for both of you guys. What's it like, for the audience like me? I'm like, I don't even try to
He's a
like.
director and writer, really good at what he does.
But like I so respect the people in front of a camera, in front of a mic, and you're performing, and you're trying to like inhabit this character, and you're feeling with this character, and sometimes you're thrown into a dark room, and it's like here it is, and like you kind of have to do the thing. But what's it like when you book a thing, and then you get to hear it months, maybe years later, and you finally like, oh wow, like I kind of forgot about that, but then you're hearing it now for the first time, fully mixed and done. What's that
Mhm.
like for?
Usually very cool. Little moments where I was like, "Ah, oh no, why'd they choose that take?" But usually very cool.
Yeah.
Josh?
I mean, it's I've done, games have been my main thing, so because I'm a gamer, anytime I've heard, like, footage right now, I haven't been in a game that I would actually, like it'd be like, "Oh, that's what I'm gonna play," but looking at footage from, like, streamers and whatnot, I'm like and when they like, sometimes they'll comment on the voiceover, and I'm like, "They had good things to say about it."
Yeah. I I've never done anime. I've taken like anime dubbing classes and stuff, and when I dub over anime in a class and they play it back, I'm like, "Whoa, this is instant gratification." Like
Yeah.
you don't get this in the other genres and or other mediums. And so yeah, it's very cool to at the end see everything come together that you weren't able to see originally when you
Mm.
recorded it. To see all the animation, sound, and music and everything all together is so sick. Um, Whereas anime, like you basically see it right when you record
That's
it.
cool.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was kind of speaking of that. I'm always really interested in the actor's journey, in a sense that people think that I think the people that don't know, just common like the audience, they look at somebody and they go, "Oh, they've just been that forever," and it's like, no, there was a process. There was that first booking when you went, "Oh shit, this happened. Like it's happening. Like my things are. I'm wondering, what was that booking for you? Like
I don't
as long as it's
know.
out."
It's been very, very gradual. Like I moved to LA 10 years ago and I've been auditioning since then, essentially, for like pretty big projects. It's just been very gradual. I don't know, because it's been very tiny. Like I think my first ever job was some like internet radio show needing like a you're listening to one of blah 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 blah. And like I never heard of that. It didn't mean anything to me. I'm like, cool, money, and I get to just be a weird little DJ voice. But it wasn't like mind blowing, you know.
Yeah,
So I think it was like little increments of that, of just me being like, this is fun, this is cool, and then
you're gonna pay me to do this?
and then maybe Bayonetta 3 is the first role where I was like, oh shit, this
Things are
one's a
happening.
big deal.
Yeah.
Ah, my character is very important to this.
I'm not just like this A or B.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have a name.
Yeah, I'm very used to just being ancillary characters, and
Yeah.
Viola's the first one that's been like a huge part of the plot.
That's awesome.
No, and you've gotten a lot of good reception for that, and I think that's a
Mm.
very, I think that's again, I always again admire performers, entertainers, again, people who have to do the actual performances, because yeah, you do put yourself out there, and it's susceptible to the ire of angry people on the internet.
Especially something that already has a
Yeah.
audience
Yeah,
base.
Yeah, Bayonetta is very scary because who Viola is, who she is to Bayonetta, to Cereza, and where
yeah,
they end up without spoilers was very, very scary for me because I'm like, Viola is, well, Cereza is graceful and sexy and confident and just working it all the time and stunning, amazing, wonderful, beautiful, iconic, perfect. And then Viola is none of that. I'm like, people worship Cereza. Are they gonna hate Viola? And luckily, not as many people as I expected hate Viola, so it's fine.
but I mean, if you don't get a little bit of haters, you're not doing it
Yeah, I
right.
mean, just numbers wise, you're bound. There, people are bound to hate it. Something, anything. But yeah, much more positive reception than I expected. So I'm grateful for that.
Is there a certain amount of compartmentalization of like your YouTube videos versus
Mm,
your voiceover career? Like the way that you're able, do they have different feelings for you? Like, is there a kind
mm.
of a F it kind of feel over at the YouTube place, or like what would you
Yeah,
say?
yeah, they're definitely very, very different approaches. I mean, the past few years, I've tried to be more cognizant of like what I'm uploading and like if like someone in casting saw this, like what would they think? Like what's something I
Yeah.
can upload that would be like
What if they watch this? What if somebody
yeah.
casts me from this?
Yeah, or like what would look good to people in the industry and whatever, and that led me to making the like 100 years of cartoon voices video, where I like chose a few voices from each decade for 100 years, because I'm like, well, my best friend Tessa actually recommended it, and then I just rolled with it. That's something that like someone working in the industry would be like, oh yeah, that's cool. Look at you, like respecting the history and like
Yeah.
yeah. So a little bit more of that in recent years. But otherwise it's much more just like this is my thing. I do it entirely. I don't hire any editors or work with anyone on that. It's just me. And then when I'm working on something in voiceover, it's like, I have a director where there are writers. It's
Yeah.
way different. And I'm just working on a little collaborative project.
Do you have like a note in your phone that you're like, oh, that would be a cool video, or you're just like you sit down and you're like, I'm gonna see what happens? Like
I
what?
have a Google Doc called Temp Notes, and that's like where I just bleh anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I'm finished with whatever it is, I can delete it, and that's just where I go for like stuff that I'm taking note of. So there are a list of some ideas there, but it's a scant list at the moment. Like I've been doing YouTube since almost weekly since 2012. Past year or two have not been weekly, but before that it was weekly, so I'm like very out of ideas at this point. I just need to keep consuming like new animation. Like
Stay inspired.
yeah, watching Has Been Hotel and Pokemon New Horizons. I'm like, aha, these are things I can do impressions of, and so I did that. Playing Baldur's Gate 3, I'm like, aha, I can do voices from this. Um, but yeah, as far as like the older stuff from my childhood, I'm like, I did all that I wanted to do.
Yeah, it's the hero has to move forward and then trying to find like what's the
Yeah.
next adventure, so to speak. It
So I'm
is.
trying not to force myself to upload just for upload's sake, just when I find a thing that I'm inspired by.
Yeah.
That's huge. I feel like that's, it's like the unsung kind of trait because like being online for that many years, I think that's a big deal. I mean, like a lot of people burn out, and a lot of people like will do the I'm just gonna put it out to meet the quota, and then people will see the quality, and they'll see it's in unauthentic you, and then but you're trying to stay true to who you are, and then also just bring it as a genuine you, and bring them, bring your audience, whether they're gonna be there for it or not, it's gonna be you, and it's 100%. You're gonna be like, cool, I get to be proud about that, like, and I think there's a lot of cool things. I didn't expect the show to be so much like, oh, you're so great, and give you a lot of congratulatory things because Josh, you, and again, both of you guys share this thing. Like again, a lot of the unspoken truth of like acting and auditioning. So many no's,
Oh
so many
yeah.
rejections.
I had to stop thinking about it.
Yeah,
I made a spreadsheet last year for the first time tracking my auditions, and I think I auditioned like 500 different characters, something like that. Booked, I don't know, like 5, like very small.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like I mean, I think that's again a testament to that because it's like you know, after so many different options and decisions other people will make, you're kind of still,
There's
having
so
to.
many things that are out of your hands that I for myself, like I had to like because I could be fetal in the corner if I thought too long or hard about because I mean, if you break it down from a really sad point of view, we're getting a no every single time. We don't
Yeah.
hear anything back. Like
Yeah.
very few
Feedback
times.
would be so nice.
That would be dope.
I got one time earlier this year, I got a response from my um agent saying, just so you know, like you were in the top 3 for like several of these characters. And I was like, hell yeah! Like,
Yeah.
sucks that I didn't get it, but like, oh, I'm doing something right.
Yeah. Sometimes we don't get like actual validation. Like there's been some times where I've taken a class with a casting director and she'd be like, "Oh, Josh Stirring, I know you. You've been in my yes folder many times." I'm like,
Oh,
"That would have been cool to know that."
yeah.
I've been rolling
Oh
around
my
in my
God.
head.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so brilliant to know.
Yeah, exactly. Because we just go about our lives and we just have to assume. We can't even assume. We just like, I'm gonna do the best thing that I think I can do. I can only control myself. I can't control it because it's all objective. Like a quick really side story. When I moved here to LA, I got an agent. It was on camera. And there were so many times that I got on a veil, which was great. But I remember this one time I was on a veil and my agent was like, they're trying to decide if they want the guy with the beard or not. And I was the guy with the beard. And I'm like,
I can shave it if they
imagination is an amazing
I know.
thing.
Do you want just a goatee? Well,
I can
also I could
shave.
never grow, so I mean, like I'm out.
I look like a child. I have had my beard for like 15 years. I look like a child. It's terrible.
Have
Uh,
you seen this comic of like there's this little miner underground and he's digging a
Mhm.
tunnel and he's digging a tunnel and then he stops and turns around, but you see like through x-ray vision that there's like big diamonds and treasure
diamonds.
right before he stopped.
Yeah. That's how you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm like, you
You just
can't
never know.
stop.
You
You can't
can't.
give up. Like it's just a numbers game. You just got to get there.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
think
not on camera. On camera is excuse me. way more pressure timeline wise, because especially for women, like aging
Mm,
out of it,
yeah,
the like key years. Voiceover does not matter how old you are as long as you can
yeah.
voice it.
If you can produce a kid's voice, good for you.
Mm.
If you can do an old person's voice, I mean, you can do whatever you want, and I think that's also a test. I think I was in a class and somebody asked the teacher like, because there's always this question as an actor, what makes a professional? When can you call yourself a professional actor?
Mhm.
And when I was in college, there were some people that would posit that, oh, it's when you get paid, even if that's
Mhm.
$1. Once you get paid, you are now a professional actor. And this somebody asked this teacher, and they were like, the teacher was like, I don't know. And then the student, I just thought this was crazy. The student was like, I think a professional is the one that doesn't stop and they keep going. Because I remember a friend who used to book all the time, and I'd be like, man, your family must be proud. And she's like, I always tell people, don't be proud of me when I'm booking. Be proud of me when I'm not, because I keep going. And that's the thing is because I have some friends that just went years without anything. And then all of a sudden they're like huge. And I'm like, you can't know that one audition that's going to be the thing. And work begets work. And there's this like snowball effect that I think happens that like, if you keep going and you keep doing good work and you keep being good to work with,
Mhm.
and you just keep meeting people because you just never know. There's been classes that I have been of somebody that I've been in a class with, and then they recommend me to somebody, and then I get hired from that. And it's like you just can't know. What just
Yeah.
be a good person, bring good work, just do the thing.
Yeah.
I think maybe I don't know. I'm gonna ask one more question, and then we're gonna switch to the later part of the show, which is a lot of fun.
Oh.
One more question. Now you do have. I mean, I feel like. Anyway, cut to the chase. You have a video that is like how to get into voice acting.
A
And I think
few.
yeah, exactly. I feel like every
One
voice
good one
actor,
though. One that everyone's like, "This is very helpful." The
this is
rest
the
is like,
one.
"Okay."
And I feel like every voice actor in a professional sense has the answer of like, how do you get into voice acting? You're like, I want to be a voiceactor.com. And
Uh-huh.
then there's
Mhm.
a whole bunch of other stuff. But
Mhm.
I'm curious, is there any advice? Is there anything a lesson that you learned that nobody taught you? That it was your own thing that you were like, gosh, I wish somebody would have taught me this or told me this.
Mm. I have one that's kind of a derivative of something Andrea Toya said. I don't know if that
You do
counts.
you.
Bring it in.
So I have this fun little trick that I like. So Andrea's like, she's a casting director for Blizzard games. And she says something like, if you're auditioning for this character, I want it to come across that you can come to coffee with me and tell me about this character. And I like kind of boiled that down to tell me something I don't know. So it's just like put something into your audition that was not in the breakdown, was not in the text, like something that they don't know that you are putting in, whether it's like a secret, a crush, a like an allergy, like anything.
Yeah.
So that's just my little.
Yeah.
I like
You think
that.
I like that.
No, that's good. I mean, I'll just to add on, and then we'll go to the next subject. Again, I could never be an actor because I think directors are so spoiled, and like once I got my first few rejections, I'm like, I'm never gonna do this. This sucks. Like I can't do this. Like I'm a fraud. I can't. I'm out. But like
BT Dub, he's a really good director, and
uh,
as he's an actor's director, he's very good to work with.
uh,
Anyway,
I like everyone to be happy. But to that point, when I'm giving, I write and direct, so like when I give the scripts to actors, and then they're like, oh, I thought about this, and like, what if she's like this? And I was like, I like that. Like, do that. Like, you're gonna like this is just words. Like, of course, they're a character to me, but you're gonna bring it to life. You're
you're
gonna do
very
something.
different as a director and writer. Like there are some people that are
I'm
very
a Libra.
precious about their words, and then there are some people like you. I like when we did like the table read
The Thief of
for
Joy.
The Thief of Joy. It was like there was a playfulness about it where it was like we as the actors could be like, this character is crying. I remember specifically my character was supposed to cry or like get down on the ground, and I went, it's not earned. And you were open to that, like, oh yeah, we should play with that moment. Like, how do we earn that emotional whatever it was going to be? It eventually became something different. Um, but you're open to collaboration, and I think that's a lot of fun instead of being in those. I've been in some situations where it's like, nine, this must be this way. So it's,
I just like boys who cry and then girls who get angry. I feel like those roles are always switched so often. I'm like, oh, what if we do the other way? But
I
I was
get
like,
it.
no, it worked. I was like, and that's the thing where it's like, if it doesn't feel authentic to the actor, then obviously it's not going to feel authentic to the audience. Like,
Exactly.
I'm trying to remember what behind the scenes interview I was watching. Or some actress on camera, live action movie or TV show where I think she was producing and or directing and or helping write and starring in it. It was
Yeah.
Madeleine Page in the new Strangers movie.
Oh, okay.
And so she produced, and so she was working with the writers and everything. And she's like, the first thing I did when we started going through the script for edits and stuff was anytime it said she cries, I took it out. And I'm like, if I cry in the moment, great. Like if I
do,
feel
I
like
do.
that's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But like I'm not doing it because it's scripted.
yeah, you have to discover it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it gets that far, then it's like, that's wonderful.
I mean, that was when I did an acting intensive at like Cal Arts, and I remember the teacher, this girl, we were all supposed to, you auditioned for it. It was this California program, and you auditioned for it, and this teacher had everybody do their audition monologue again in front of the class. Like, this is what got you in. And this girl came to the table, not to throw any shade or anything, but this girl came into the table and was crying all over the place. And the director was like, "That's not interesting." Most of the time, if you're a human being, when you are crying, you're actually trying not to cry. And if you actually truly break down, it must be earned. It must absolutely, because you have reached the point of not caring that everybody sees that you are crying.
What a fascinating exercise to be like, this monologue got you here. Now everybody do it in front of
Right?
each other and let's like critique it and make it better. That's crazy.
Like when you're in a class and everybody chooses the same copy and you're like, I thought I was unique.
But it's like, this is the monologue that like I nailed because
Yeah.
it got me here.
Yeah.
No, it could be better.
Yeah, that means we can work with you
Mhm.
and we can mold some stuff,
That's so interesting.
right?
All right,
All right.
now.
All right, yes.
What
So
was
No,
this
'cause we
actor
can't be like,
shit?
enough of this boring stuff. No, so when we first were coming up with the idea of having guests on the show, we were like, there are so many interview shows.
Yeah.
There's so many.
And they ask the
everybody-
same question.
They literally, we can probably go through all the videos of your interviews and see the same
You
question.
can tell I've watched them.
And so we were like, what makes us different? What can we bring to the table? And we were like, wouldn't it be cool if we brought on these big people like Kevin Conroy, like Jonathan Frakes, Billy West, and talk to them about something that they are a nerd of.
And they don't get a chance to talk about.
And that they don't ever get to nerd on about. So when I asked you, I asked for a favorite movie, because movies are easy. We can prep those. If it were a show, baby, we have some homework to do. But when it's a movie, we can just watch it and we can come to the table with a fresh perspective. Yeah. And when you said The Prestige, I was sitting here and
what he's pretty much saying is like, will you marry me? Because that's my favorite movie.
I laughed out
That's all it
loud.
takes for a successful marriage is
one movie.
the
Listen,
same
my wife and I
favorite
both
movie.
have matching Harry Potter tattoos, so here we are.
You're mad, I'm mad. Let's go watch the movie, then we'll talk about it afterwards.
So when you said The Prestige, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about The Prestige. I laughed out loud because it is his favorite movie and he talks its praises. And I think it's so funny that we have never actually done an official Nerd On episode about it.
Ain't no love.
We've done my favorite movie, Big Lebowski, but we haven't done your favorite movie.
Everyone's
This means
favorite
you
movie.
need to interview Tom.
Exactly. So when we do a Nerd On, it's the typical conversation with friends where it's like, what was your favorite part? Do you remember the experience of watching it first?
Well,
What's your favorite character?
I want to know why.
Yeah, I knew you'd ask this, and I was like, "Why? I don't know. Magic."
When you were
How's
talking
magic?
earlier, I was like, makes sense now.
Because magic.
Because, magic.
I do love I love real world magician stuff, Magic Castle, Vegas, whatever. I love magician stuff. It's so cool. It's making impossible real. Whatever. This is my theme of life. It's literally what The Prestige does. It's like, oh, these are tricks, these are illusions, these are blah blah blah, and then no, it's real.
Oh, so that very end monologue where he's like, everyone knows the world's just hollow through and through, but we get a chance to change that.
That also, but I remember watching it in high school,
Mhm.
and I remember reading the back of the DVD case, and it said one of the like testimonials was like, as soon as it's over, you'll want to like start it over and watch again. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, I need to watch it again because yeah, it's mostly spoilers.
All
Oh yeah,
spoilers.
All
this movie is over 20 years
spoilers.
old, right? Or 20 years
Am
old.
I
Yeah,
peeking the
yeah.
mic? I'm sorry.
No,
It's fine.
Um,
I've got tools for
that's
that.
that's good stuff.
That's called passion, not peaking.
tell that to the engineer.
Yeah.
As soon as it was over, I'm like, I need to watch it over. I need to figure out which scenes are which twin. I need to know all these things. And I just rewatched it again last night, and I hadn't seen it in not that long, but like a few years. And again, I'm like putting the pieces together all over again, even though I know the ending. And just being like, who's who? I'm like, okay, I think I figured out that there's one Borden that's like really angry and big, and one that's like way quieter. And the one that's quieter is with Sarah. The one that's bigger is with Scarlett Johansson. Like,
Which one's Fallon? Which one's Freddie?
yes.
Mhm.
But they're both Fallon. So what's the other one's name?
Alfred.
They're
Alf-
both
Oh,
Alfred.
yeah. I mean, that's why. So the
What's
one with
their
Scarlett
legal
Johansson is
names?
Freddie, and the one with Rebecca Hall is Alfred.
Okay.
Because
But they've got real names though.
well, I mean, that's the.
Maybe neither of them are Alfred.
So the favorite thing I love about it is the whole scene where they talk about the Chinese guy who has the fishbowl, and then he hits the wall. That line kills me every time.
Wait,
It's
hits the wall?
like Christian Bale hits the wall and says, "That's what it costs of a great trick,
Uh-huh.
self-sacrifice."
Uh-huh.
And that's the whole thing. It's like,
Just in case anybody's playing the home game, I'm the third wheel.
but you're not the third wheel because you were watching it yesterday, and man, when I saw Hugh Jackman's face, he's like, "How could he not know?" I was like, "I know exactly what part that is." Like, I'm gonna humble
divulge.
brag. I'm gonna say this. I think I've watched that movie more than anyone on this planet because I've watched it. Same thing. High school, I saw it, and then I was like, I'm gonna watch it again. I watched it every day for a year,
Oh my god!
and I was obsessed because it was
You
to
beat
me.
Christopher Nolan.
I love that man. If he was here right now, I would just do
There would be kissing.
adult things.
There would be kissing.
Very adult things to this man, and I would let him do it to me. It's the self-sacrifice thing, and then so like the whole thing where it's like it's too simple. A twin, a brother. It's like no, I said it couldn't be that way. It's like simple, yes, but nothing
Not
easy.
easy.
And it's like I
Never
love that thing where it's like
easy.
yeah, it's like we shared half a life. It's like so he was Alfred, I was Alfred. It's like he was Fallon, I was Fallon. And it's like what was their true identity? They never really they just shared one, but like the nom de guerres that they got with like Scarlett Johansson being like, oh Freddie, and then she's like, you're not Freddie where you're at home. He's like, well, I'm not always at home, am I? And I'm just like, like who you are outside. The duality, he's
Yeah.
Batman. But
I do want to say, I think it was funny when this came out. I don't remember what came first. I think at the same time, The Illusionist, came out, and The Prestige. And what year did Prestige come out?
I think that's 2000. Okay.
Okay, so I started working at Hollywood Video, RIP, in 2005, and I remember on the new release wall there was The Illusionist and there was The Prestige, and oftentimes people were coming for either or, and they would accidentally rent the other, and I would have to be like, so which one are you looking for? Like actually? Oh, I want the one with
Paul Giamatti.
Okay, huge Jack man. Okay, yeah. But no, I think one thing I noticed yesterday, and I don't think I've ever really noticed it, was, so I was watching it yesterday. I was cleaning the studio because I wanted to be nice in here for you. I was watching it while I was cleaning, and it's such a good movie that you don't realize that it's 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I was almost sad that it was done. I was on the reveal scene at the end, and I was like, no, do I watch it again? Like, do I?
Well, the pacing is just insane, and like the non-linear timeline is just
Yeah. I want to watch it. Can you do this for me? Can you cut it into as
linear
as you can? Because I want to watch that.
yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you could do that.
I don't think it exists on the internet for me.
I mean, Christopher Nolan would hate me, but I could do it.
I know, but just as an experiment.
Yeah, that'd be
for
cool.
science.
I mean, how the Christopher Nolan cross cutting at the very end is like the pièce de résistance. Just because it's like in the last words like abracadabra, and then the ball shows up. It's like, oh, this is insane. It's
the dedication of it all. I'm just so like
So quiet.
No. But like, have you read the book?
No.
The book, Christopher Priest. I read it during our shutdown times, and man, what a different story.
Whoa.
Spoilers, everybody. Do you want a spoiler?
I don't know. Do I want to read it? Or is it like not worth?
It's very different.
How long is it?
It's like, I think like several hundred pages.
Ooh, maybe I don't.
Because so like I'll say the motif of reading someone's diary is in there,
Mm.
but it's none of the characters you're seeing.
Oh my god.
So like,
Really?
it's a very different. I
Okay,
was like,
spoilers.
Is that like-
it's
is that
the
like the rest-
grandchildren of Alfred Borden and Robert Angier.
Whoa.
And I'm pretty sure Robert Angier's character is not the name. Like they just changed it for the movie.
It's not Lord Caldwell.
I think it might be Lord Cardlow.
Because I did not realize until either very recently or literally last night that he is Lord Caldwell. Like that's his real name. That's who he really is. I thought the first like several times I saw it that he took that on after he like became rich with his like final tour or whatever.
Kind of like Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah, and he like ran off and became Lord
the Great
Caldwell or
Danton.
whatever. But no, that's who he is. That's who his wife in the beginning was like, you're lying about your name and where you're from. Because he's not American. And then I was listening to the last scene last night. I played it over and I was like, does he have a British accent or American? There's like touches of it though.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense because he has been forcing himself to do an American accent for years. So of course, you know. I'm like, he's dying. He's not trying to do either accent. So it makes sense that it's kind of a blend. So
I just like it because it's like, yeah, you have Michael Caine and then you have Christian Bale. And then even like Scarlett Johansson has like a, her accent going in there. So I was like,
how intimidating would it be to be Scarlett Johansson doing an English accent with all these actors in front of Christian Bale and Michael Caine? Like, that'd be so scary.
When I first heard Christian Bale's real accent, because he was like the Newsies was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid, and like he's got like a 1920s New York accent, and I'm like, and then when I heard him for the first time, I was like, I know nothing. Everything I know is wrong.
Everything's a lie.
Everything's a lie.
I have trust issues because of this man.
But it's also I have a huge, not only because I love dialects, accents, whatever the proper nomenclature is. I love accents and dialects, and when I see that a British actor has a good American or vice versa, I'm just like, damn, girl. that is just wow, that's really interesting.
Anna, do you have a favorite part of The Prestige? I'm sorry, I'll take that back.
I mean,
it's about the 1 to 124 minute point. There's somewhere in there.
I love the cats screeching and then the cat screeching more and then barely overlapping the screeching, and then you see one cat and then it cuts to another cat, but you don't really know if it's like a jump cut or another cat, and then they show the cat run and the other cat chase it. I love that slow reveal of there are two cats.
That went over my head so hard, like several times when I watched.
Oh, when he goes
and just covered in hats.
Yeah.
Cats
which
and hats?
which hat
Amazing.
is mine?
They're all
They're all
yours.
your
They're
hat.
all yours.
And then I mean, I love the opening, which is like, are you watching closely? And it's like you just see the hats.
Yes.
Like, what does this mean?
Yes.
Oh my god. So
Ugh.
are you a team Angier or team Borden?
Borden.
Borden, yeah.
But the Borden who was in love with Sarah, not the one that was in love with Scarlett Johansson, whatever her name was.
What was it? Olivia. All the time, Olivia.
Yes.
I love. I could quote that movie in infinitum. But
that scene came up. I paused. You came in the door and you went, "How does he know?" I pressed play. How does he know?
Did I tie the what's it, the double Langford or the slip knot? It's like, I could never know. And he's like, how could he not know?
So, but one of them knows.
Oh, for sure, Freddie did.
Which
Freddie.
Yeah. Are we
having a realization live?
Yes.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know because he's not the one
him
on stage. It's there's so many moments like that. And so, do we know if it was Scarlett Johansson Borden or Sarah Borden who tied the knot?
I think it's Scarlett Johansson Borden.
Yeah.
Like to me, Fallon kind of.
He's a more uh in what's the word? When you do things
Immoral?
without thinking.
Impulsive.
Impulsive. He's a
Yes.
more impulsive one.
Yeah, I feel. I mean, we get introduced to the concept of Alfred first, so we think it's like this is the one that likes Sarah, and then all of a sudden it's like the infidelity happens. You're like, oh, it's not actually infidelity, but you are destroying this facade.
Yeah.
And I think
It's like the breaking of the breaking of the illusion for an
well,
actor.
you're making the identity of Alfred even harder because now you have an affair, and then also you don't really love your wife. Oh, when
she's like, I can tell.
Oh, well, you don't.
Like, you don't mean it today. That is so good.
But like, so I mean, I love I think to your point, it's like the making magic and like using practical things to, create the illusion for people for entertainment and for joy, and then the craftsmanship and the ingenuity, but like, and how that like comes to clash with a real life and like, the tragedy, that gets me.
The movie is a magic trick.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the 3 acts, so it's like the pledge, the turn, the prestige, and it's just like, yeah, that's the movie. That's the whole movie.
That's the movie, man.
I don't think anyone could actually have we always say what's our grump, what's the thing that we don't like about something.
Yeah.
This is probably one of those, unless anybody has
I know
something.
a common grump. I don't have it, but very common grump is the fact that the cloning was real. That the machine actually worked, that it had some mystical sci-fi fantasy element.
I love that.
People don't like that.
But Cutter told us this is built by a wizard. It's like, yes, it's true. This is science and magic.
But yeah, it's supposed to just be science. So.
But I mean, isn't science just magic that we can explain?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Magic with rules.
Yeah.
Good.
I Cutter's great, and then
I love that Cutter turns sides.
He knows what's right. He knows what's right, and he's just like. But also, like, I do love that like everything they tell you is right there for you, and he's just like, it's a double. It's a double.
Yeah.
And,
I don't have the same. Cutter is
that
Michael Caine's character?
Kata.
I love David Bowie and Andy Serkis. Like they were
Yeah. Can you believe they're in this movie?
And it's not the Labyrinth Bowie.
Yeah.
It's just like Serkis is so good. Bowie is just so good.
But like also like Tesla talks about like the obsession and how it's like this is a young man's dream, and it's like my obsessions got me this far, and now the world has asked me to quietly retire. It's like it's just like that thing. I don't know. I mean, be here with me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's interesting to just even think of like the time frame that they're just from a historical standpoint, and if like the craziness that was the war between Edison and Tesla, and knowing just like how much Tesla was shamed, and just all these different things that it's just like it's really cool.
It's interesting to kind of rewrite history into making Tesla like actually he secretly had crazy like magic level inventions, but he drew back because he was like getting arsoned.
And he's also like, I built the machine, you should destroy it.
Yeah.
I've made this thing that's insane, that destroys the laws of physics. Destroy it.
It's so smart that they wrote it in a way where it doesn't contradict current reality. It's like that could be true. As far as we know, because he decided not to go forward with that stuff because he was being like persecuted for it. It's so interesting and cleverly written.
I love that you are so nerdy about this. I like that we found something that is just like you just wouldn't. I mean, it's still magic. Never mind. It's magic. It's still magic.
Yeah.
I think my only complaint grump with the thing.
It ended.
I'm one of those, man. Give me 15 hours of this world.
When a movie's 4 hours long, you're like,
I'm here for it.
Like that guy by the tree.
I spend the same money to buy the physical or to go to the theater, but I get more hours of it. That's just a bargain. That's more bang for my buck, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like
as long as it supports it, as long as it's well written and well
as long
shot.
I mean, if I like it,
yeah.
If it's the biggest piece of shit, but I love it, I'm like, I'll spend all the money.
All of the money.
This happens to be the greatest movie of all time, so I'm like, I'll buy it. all.
Oh, my grump.
Oh.
Okay, my grump. My
Ooh.
question, at least for
Uh-huh.
you. Hopefully, you can answer it for me. Why, towards the end, does Angier's Caldlow say to not know whether you'll be the man in the box or the man in the prestige? Why would he not know? Doesn't he always know that he's gonna be when the man who starts the act is the one that's gonna fall into the box?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
so
Or is there
this is funny. I remember watching this a lot in high school, and then going to college. I took philosophy classes, and then one philosophy class was talking about physical continuity or psychological continuity, and it was talking about how Star Trek, what happens with their teleporters, you actually get vaporized, and all of your atoms get copied onto the planet, and so it's like, are you still you, or are you another person? And that's the thing too, because like even in our bodies,
Are you on a new bridge or branch that
well,
is the tree of your life?
and we know the fly.
Yes.
Teleporter, you get vaporized, you get to another place. But what if a fly's in there? It changes you, right? Just very subtly, your DNA changes. Like, so are you still the same person or not? And even biologically with humans, we recycle out
What if
all of
you that
our.
went into the box got copied over there instead of being the one
What if
that's
there
right
was two
here?
copies? How would you know if you're the real one?
2 copies?
Like imagine if the prestige, let's like expand the hypothesis of like, what if instead of one Angier, two showed up and then
Uh-huh.
one still died in the tank? Which one would claim to be the real
Right,
one?
right.
I think
Like in the
Or if you
comic
just
and the
do it twice in a row.
And to that point, with the class, I remember like they wanted us to just talk about it, like not have a real answer because we also like questioned like the existence of God and good and evil and all that stuff. But I was like, you mean like I fell asleep in the class, and then like they're like, Tom, what do you think? I was like, oh, like in the Prestige, Robert Angier did this, and they're like, yes, Tom, we said that, and I haven't watched the movie, so you're behind. I was like, but I understood the subject. But to that point, I think I mean, it's really, I think his quote unquote fault, big fault. Like the Bordens, emotionally and their arc is like, leave him alone. He's like, after he does the 100 shows, like, leave him alone. Like, let's not mess with them. Like, we lost Sarah. Like, this is all we have. Only thing that matters is our daughter. And Angier's like, no, I need to humiliate Borden because I have to avenge my wife. So his ego starts getting to that point, and he has that moment with Olivia where he's just like, I don't care about my wife. I care about beating Borden. And then that's when we're like, as an audience, we're like, oh, we've been following this guy, and now we don't maybe not like him.
Mhm.
But I think once he gets his body double for the transported man, he hates being under the stage, and so like that there's always going to be something with him where he's not going to be satisfied. And so at that very end, in his final breath, there's like, it mattered if I was the man in the box. No one cares about being the man in the box, or they
Yeah.
don't want to see the man on the other side. It's like, it's an ego thing. I think he knows for a fact, he's looking at all the reflections of like the past version of himself, and he's like, but I'm the one that matters.
But he knows he's gonna be in the box.
And I think that's the thing where he's like,
He
Borden.
knows his like a copy of his consciousness will carry on, but his body, his consciousness, his awareness is going to fall into the box. He's
And-
not going to experience that.
and I'd have-
Another version of him is.
And I have to imagine that the one that appears on the other side has the memories of being like, I'm
right
the
before
one.
the switch.
I'm
yeah.
I'm the one that's gonna fall down.
Yes.
And so, but then they wake up, it's like, I'm the one that made it out.
when he talks about I think when Cutter is telling the story of a drowned man.
Oh
and
yeah.
just like drowning for me, like I hate games that take place in the deep ocean. Like it's like anytime I fall off the ship in Sea of Thieves, I'm like, give me it! Hey, stop the ship! Stop it, please! Please, I need to come back. I just start like whenever I see the drowning scenes, I'm like,
Oh, it's hard. It's rough. I mean, but it's so poetic.
The way the way he dies 100 times like his wife died.
Yes.
Stop.
And he's like, there was an audience for this time. And I mean, so to your point, like,
oh, but real quick, I'm so sorry, but when he sees him die downstage or under the stage, and he's viscerally reacting, trying to get him out, and it makes you go, he's not a bad guy.
Yeah.
Well, when the first time we see it, we're just like, what is happening? And this last time we see it, like, oh. And then I think it gives us a little bit more of a redemption for Borden, because it's like, he never wanted anyone to get hurt. And it's like, it was just an unfortunate. He just wants the best magic he can make. But I think the Angier we see at the very end is, quote unquote, maybe let's say the 100th one, let's say.
Right.
So he has 99 times of being like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die.
Mhm.
So he's said that to himself so many times, but he's the one that made it out. And it's like, yeah, he's like, I don't know if I was going to be the one.
Whether he was the original one or not.
Yeah, and I mean, there's probably the sixth, like number 40, who's like,
Yeah.
So like, but like that's the thing where it's like I like
It's more about, but then I feel it's more about like legacy than
Mhm.
actually you.
So that's a lot of the theming in the book. That's a lot of the theme in the
Oh,
book.
it makes sense.
And the machine does something very different in the book. So
Whoa.
it's way worse.
Oh. Oh,
And
dear.
it kind of ends like a horror movie at the end of the book. You're like, what did I read?
Well, that's like Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park
Mhm.
is much more. It's much more. Some of the characters are assholes, but also like it's a little bit more violent. Even it's a little bit more violent. And you're like, ooh, okay.
Does that answer your question? I don't know. Or does that give you more
No.
questions? I'm sorry.
He says, I'm to not know whether I'll be the man in the box or the prestige. No, you know. You're
Yeah.
gonna be both. I mean, a copy of you is gonna be the latter, but you will be the man in the box.
I
Part
mean,
of you. No, not even a part. No, you will be.
you know you're gonna drop.
You go boom.
Your original copy will
If
be
you
in the
step on that
box.
stage, you're not the one up on that stage. But I mean, and that's the thing. Was like, how do we know they don't
But
actually
you won't
switch?
have any memories of it. Yeah, that is so dumb though. What that's it's science. That doesn't make sense. We make a copy, but we leave the copy here, and the original's gonna go over there? Huh?
Is it so? You put a Xerox. You put a piece of paper on the Xerox machine, and for some reason, the one in the bed gets dropped into water, and the copy goes into just like a bucket of water. So the first one is like, ta-da!
So when I was talking about the psychological and physical continuity, there's some, with biology, we recycle out all of our like cells too. So after like 8 years, we
7
have
years.
7 years. We're all different things. So all the quote unquote collected cells, if we were to be in a place for 7 years, is that the original or are we the original?
Ship of Theseus, yeah.
Kind of, yeah. So, but now we're going crazy. Now we're going like, but what if this?
I'm having a realization that the original him died.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I hate having this knowledge.
Well, I mean, the first
don't.
original him for sure died, but he killed his first clone.
Yeah.
that scene, I was gonna say that scene when he's almost like a kid figuring out how this works, and he presses it, and then he steps out, and he's like, the gun's next to him. He's like, there's just that realization of what's happening, and then when the clone's like, no, 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 you're like,
Because that clone thinks he's the real one too.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I mean, that clone's like, oh, I got transported.
Oh.
oh, that's weird. That's how this
You know
works.
what I mean?
I don't know.
I feel like that's how it, or else he's like, yeah, I'm the fake, just kill me. Who cares?
I mean,
My life doesn't matter.
Maybe he thought that in the moment, but to see that there's another over there, you have to know that, like, that's where I was.
But in
That
your
must be
mind,
the
you're like,
original.
I'm the original.
Yeah,
just
like
got transported.
your process of memories is I pull the thing and suddenly I'm over here.
The copy's surely
Understood.
right there. I'm the
That
real
doesn't
one.
make sense.
But then the
though.
copy's also like, but why do I have to die? You
Like,
know?
really, there's a commune of him just somewhere in the woods. That's just like I'd want that movie, but
Yeah,
I don't
and I
know.
mean, I think also to that point in the writing of it, it's meant for dramatic effect because after
Mhm.
end we know it's like
some
we
things
see
it's
all of
like,
them.
oh,
we're like,
honey, it doesn't have to make sense. It's just
and it could also,
imagine if you
So that's
will.
my one grump is that line.
and it could
Okay.
also like feed into the fact that he's like, he's in his own delusion, right? And like Alfred Borden's like, dude, I just want my daughter. You destroyed my whole life, whatever. And Robert Andrews like, but look what I've done.
How can you not know?
If the copy does transport, then no matter what, the original died. Because the original Angiers died that first test.
Because there's a trap door, right?
Yeah.
So it goes whatever's on the stage,
Yeah,
whoever's
it'll
on the
fall.
stage drops,
Yes.
and then
I agree with this logic.
Yeah.
I didn't
I
have
agree with
this
this logic.
knowledge.
I just think everything's.
But it just seems like there's no way that's how it works.
It's like, but you die.
Ain't
Why would?
no way.
But like that's dedication to that craft to revenge the crap out of.
Yeah, I guess he's just coping. It's wrong.
Copium, a whole lot of copium.
I don't know whether I'll be in the box or up there. I don't know.
I mean, it's scary to think about
No, but
that,
to
right?
your point, you know.
Exactly.
If you've gotten this far, you in the moment, you are pressing the button, I'm now I'm getting into the scene. I'm like, you press the button.
The first time it happens,
You
he
don't know
knew.
what's about to happen. Really. But you do know. There's a
The first time he ever did it, he pushed the button and he saw a copy of himself over there and he went, "Oh shit, that's how
You
this
built the
works."
trap door, dude.
But what did Tesla say? Exact science is not exact science. So
That's just what science says.
But
Just
also,
not
why
to
do we
give a
say
right answer.
anything? It's
They
like-
still don't. Wait,
It gives us a chance to interpret it.
Bonnie and I went to this like documentary. It's like one of those things that you see at the science center, and it was about dark matter. And they were like, "So what is dark matter?" And they were like,
It's a book by Blake Crouch.
"Don't know. We don't know." It's like, cool. So glad.
It's magic.
Imagine if you will. But now
That-
that I have that knowledge,
I'll spoil the book for you later on. I don't want to spoil it for you.
But I don't think I'm gonna read it.
All right, I'm gonna
It's
spoil the
too
book a little
long.
bit.
It's
do it.
not
Do
even-
it. Spoiler if you don't want to watch this.
So
we don't know
in-
how far this is going to be.
In the book, the machine.
Unless you think it's better than the movie.
Absolutely not. The story is from the grandchildren of Robert Angier and Borden, and they're reading like, "Oh, your family has ties with mine. Do you have riches or do you not have riches?" It's like, "Oh, our grandparents hate each other. They had a rivalry." And it's like, "Okay." And they're like, "Oh, there's the tomb of Robert Angier. That's crazy." It's like, "All right, whatever." And they keep reading in the book, and it's like when he did the machine, like a copy of him was made, but it absorbed his life. So like he was slowly becoming like less human. And like the regular version of him
Was
was
this like a little Voldemort-esque?
yeah, and like
Mm.
so the clone of him who like had all the like life energy to like walk around, live his life, did that, and he realized like I sacrificed all the goodness of my life for a trick, and this sucks. And then at the very end of the book, the grandchildren like look at the tomb, and then like they see the door open, and they see like a ghoulish figure, and you're like, oh, he's alive, he's immortal.
So like splits his soul.
It split his soul, and so like the one that was full of life died.
The machine is a Horcrux maker.
Yeah.
and the one that was around is like it's still
Horcrux
him.
Simulacrum.
And
Yeah.
like, oh,
Creator.
reading that last few pages was like, and then you saw this figure. He like just shies his eyes from the light.
Were you like,
and,
oh,
and I was like,
oh,
oh,
oh.
hell nah, dog. Like, what the hell? I was like, oh god. And so I'm like, it's such a different story.
Yeah.
It very much follows these two magicians.
I'm not gonna read that.
It's kind of nice, but I like. I mean, if you,
Did you know that going into it, like reading it?
No,
You
I
didn't
just
know
like
that it
Christopher
was-
Priest. I'm like, I should read the source material, see what it's all about,
Right.
and then I
You're
was
like, I've watched this movie 365 times. I should read the book.
yeah, it's like I might as well. And it's like, how did
Maybe
you get
I'll
that?
like it.
Yeah, it's like, how'd you get that to that? I don't
Yeah.
know, but you know what? That makes all the writers for that movie and the filmmakers and the storytellers like that much cooler. So
When was
Wow.
that written? Do you know?
absolutely not.
Yeah. Like, is that author still alive or is that like olden times?
It could,
back in the 1900s.
I can't tell. I couldn't tell. I forgot.
Can you believe we were born in the 1900s?
Don't say it like that.
No,
Don't
I've been
say
saying it like
Don't
that
say it.
purposefully because I hate when it's called the 20th century. I'm like, I say the 1900s because I think it was like a meme or something that was like, back in the olden times, in 1990s. I'm like, ow.
Back in old
Psychic damage.
Look, the internet is just too fast. It's not that we're old or that's such a long time ago. It's like that's 30 years ago. And I was like, 90s baby, like, and we still retreading those 90s things, and we still don't know who we are as people.
I'm in a writing class, and it's a personal essay class, and I was writing something about like this topic that I'm writing about took place like 100 years ago, and I was relating it to my own life, and I was like, and I was born in the 80s, and that was almost 40 years ago.
But that means we have more seasoning, we have
That's
more
true.
experience, and
Much
we've
more
seen
flavor.
something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we've seen some stuff. And it's like that's cool. It's like, and also we made it this far. Like I don't know. Like I Asian don't raisin, but like I just think about like age is something that is a little bit of a badge. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
When I went to my high school reunion, I was just like, I'm glad to see people who are still alive. Like
Actually, like when I think about it, this took a weird turn. Some people have passed away in like accidents, and I'm like,
man.
oh man.
And we wouldn't be in this room if we didn't have some time under our belt. You guys wouldn't have been in class if you weren't
true.
this,
It's very
where we
true.
are in our lives. Man, this game a little philosophical.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's
Thank you.
not the philosophical episode.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah. Anna, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks.
You get your nerd on with us about
Yeah.
the Prestige.
I've
I
never
love that.
talked about the Prestige so much. So
I love it. I love it. For our audience at home, whether you're listening on the different podcast apps or watching on YouTube, where would you like people to go?
Ah,
What would you like people to check out?
Where should you follow? If I had to pick one place for
I mean, you
to
can plug it all if you
No,
want.
I know I'm gonna, but
But what's the first thing I'm going to mention?
exactly.
Go watch the Prestige.
Follow me on Twitch, Brizzy Voices, twitch.tv/Brizzy Voices. And then I'm also Brizzy Voices everywhere else. So YouTube is where the videos go. And then sometimes they go on Instagram and Twitter happens too. And then, I don't know, play Guilty Gear Strive, play ABBA, play Bayonetta 3, play God of War Ragnarok. Yay!
Fallout 76, play that.
Well,
No?
if you like
If you want
that.
to. If you
Yeah.
want to play that. Everybody at home, thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you're new to the show, check out our website, nerdon.tv. Check out our Patreon. It does help us do the thing. Nerdon.tv/Patreon. You can join that Nerdon Nation and get all sorts of fun perks. We are on Twitch, nerdon.tv/Twitch. We're on all the socials, Nerd on TV. Just find us, Nerd on the Podcast. We have hundreds of episodes all across all the different apps, so check us out. But that is the episode. You know the drill. As always, Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.